Howdy y'all, Pipe Grump. Smoking my Savinelli. Got some Irish Oak, Peterson's Irish Oak in it. London Calling asked us to talk about our Nirvana smokes, our Sublime smokes. He's doing a giveaway. 2,000 subs, I think, something like that. So he wanted to hear a story of when we had a Nirvana smoke. Now, I've been smoking 17 years. Of course, the first 5 or so years, it was periodic. It was maybe once every 3 months or something. I mean, it wasn't much. I was in the service for most of it. I didn't know what I was doing. I've mentioned that several times before. So, I probably only had 4, maybe 6 Nirvana smokes or Sublime smokes in 17 years. My criteria for a Sublime smoke is pretty high. It's got to be the right pipe, got to be the right tobacco, but it also has to deal with me. I've mentioned before that I feel that pipe smoking is a ritual, and in order for me to have a Sublime smoke, I feel that I have to get the ritual right, which starts with the right tobacco and the right the right pipe. But it also deals with if I lit the pipe correctly, if I packed the pipe correctly, my cadence, my tamping cadence, all that type of stuff. All the way down from the, from the first light to the end game. I feel that with a Nirvana smoke, for me personally, I want to do my charring light, and then I want the pipe to stay lit from my second light on. I don't want to have to keep relighting. I don't want to have to keep messing with the tobacco. When I tamp, I don't want to tamp so tight that I can't draw, and I have to put a pipe cleaner through it to lift the tobacco. And another thing that I really cannot stand, and in order for me to have a Nirvana smoke has to happen, is my pipe can't talk. I can't hear anything from the pipe. I hate when my pipe gurgles. I hate when I can hear myself drawing air through it. I don't want to hear my pipe. So, my best Nirvana smoke that I've had, because there's one that stands out in my mind that I'll talk about. So I'd worked all day in my office job that I have, job number 1, and as things do, somebody got on my nerves or something didn't happen the way I'd wanted it to. So it had been a little bit of a frustrating day. I came home, I got changed, and I went out to job number two. Job number two, at the time I worked at Lowe's as a weekend person. They have a weekend team that comes in on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays and works. So I went from my job, my 9 to 5 job, my actual career, came home, changed, got in the car, drove 40 minutes to Lowe's and worked until 9 o'clock. Then I drove 40 minutes back. Lowe's is a great place, but I didn't like working there. So it was just added more onto the compounding, you know, frustration of the day. So I came home, kids were already in bed. Didn't have any time, didn't get any time to play with them or really see them. My wife was there reading, but I had to sit down at the computer and work on job number three. So job number three, which is a job that I still have, is doing architectural models and drawings for certain architecture firms around. Currently I work for two, so I still have 3 jobs, but 2 of them are very similar. So this particular job, I take 2-dimensional drawings from a designer, and using SketchUp software, I turn them into 3-dimensional buildings that we can take the client and sit them down inside this room that they're going to see, that they're going to use, hopefully purchase, and they can see what it's going to look like while they're sitting on their couch. They can see what they're going to look like when they're, you know, if they decide that they're going to put a koi pond in this room or something like that, what it's going to look like. They can see what they're buying. I do everything in detail, from structure to trim. And these are high-end glass rooms, you know, starting at like 5 years worth of a normal person's salary. I mean, these are expensive, expensive rooms, and that's just the lowest price range that it could be. And I decorate the rooms with furniture, trying to keep in mind the style of the house that the person already lives in, the style of their furniture. But I always add a pipe to each room. It's either laying on the mantle or it's laying on the coffee table. It's kind of my signature for each of them, because the drawings go in under under the title of that company that I work for. It's not my personal company. I do the work as my company, but I send it to them with their watermarks and their title blocks and things like that. So anyway, by the time I got done the work I needed to do for this job, it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife had already gone to bed. The kids were asleep. I had to be up at 6 o'clock the next morning in order to go back to Lowe's to be there in time to start my day. So instead of going to bed, I went to the tobacco closet. I grabbed a pipe, and I grabbed some Dark Prince. Again, if you've been following me, you know what Dark Prince is. I'm not going to go into it again. I bundled up because it was just before Christmas. And I went out and sat on my porch. One of the criteria for my Nirvana smokes is I believe it has to be cold out. I've not had a Nirvana smoke when it's been warm. I enjoy being bundled up, where the only thing to keep me warm is the pipe. So I sat down, lit the pipe. It lit on the first draw, or on the first light. And I sat there for probably an hour and a half without relighting. And just enjoyed every minute. The smoke was great. Tasted perfect. There was no noise. Kids were in bed. The wife was in bed. It's just me sitting there by myself in the quiet. I think that's another criteria for a Nirvana smoke for me, is it has to be, I need to not be interrupted. I didn't take my phone. I didn't take my iPad. I didn't take anything. I didn't have any music playing. I didn't have any distractions as far as watching YouTube videos or anything like that. I sat there and smoked. It was definitely over an hour. It might not have been a full hour and a half, but it was over an hour without relighting. When it finally did go out, the bowl had been tamped all the way down to the bottom. There was nothing but white ash. When I dumped it, it came out completely clean. There was no leftover tobacco. There was no, missed leaves or anything like that. I cleaned the bowl, cleaned the stem, and I went inside. And as I went and laid down on the couch for the hour or so sleep I was going to get, I remember thinking that had been the best smoke of my life that I had had. That had been a Nirvana smoke. With a Nirvana smoke, if the smoke is right, no questions are asked, but all questions are answered. Well, that's my Nirvana smoke story. Kind of going off topic here, but my wife worked as a research biologist for 10 or so years out of college. She worked, she went to college for biology and worked as a research biologist. And she, due to some just it being hard on her body, as well as with live animals, somebody has to go in, even on Christmas Day. Somebody has to go there. And it always seems to be that the people without kids are the first ones to request off on Christmas Day. So my wife, there were several Christmases where my wife had to go in, and Thanksgivings where my wife had to go in. As well as my wife's mother watches my youngest child because she's not yet old enough to go into school. So she watches her for childcare, which is great. I mean, it's family. We don't have to worry about, any kind of mistreatment or anything like that, horror stories that you hear. And it's free, which is even better. However, my wife's grandmother, so my mother-in-law's mother, is now living with them because she is over 90 years old, and she is in that part of life where you need help. So she quit her job as a research biologist and took a job at the school system, same school system I work for. However, she took a massive pay cut. That's why I worked 3 jobs. So for 2 years, my wife worked pretty much as just a helper in the school system, get her foot in the door because she wanted to teach. She took extra college in order to get certified. And she has finally, just a few days ago, gotten hired on as a science teacher. So I'm very proud of her. It worked out the way we had planned. May have taken a little bit longer than we had planned, but it worked out as we had hoped. But I'm also very happy because of selfish reasons. It means I can finally not work 3 jobs. Anyway, that's my Nirvana smoke story. Peace and pipe smoke.